Hi everyone, welcome back to my new model balmy channel, and for those of you that are new or have clicked on me by accident, welcome to the man cave. This is where all the swearing, magic happens. As you can see, I'm working in my usual mess, but we're progressing well with my N-gauge crawl C layout. So should we have a look at what I've been up to? So talking of swearing, one of the things I've been building are these little Oerlikon cannons for my anti-aircraft battery on the layout. So I've done a little fuse wire sight ring, which if it'll focus you'll just about see, and I don't know what you call these bits at the back of an Oerlikon that you push your shoulders into to fire it, but the first two sets I'd finished these and then they literally pinged off my tweezers, so the air turned a bit blue then and I had to make another third set. So yeah, it's all fun and games in the man cave. Anyway, that's them. So switching briefly to stills, it's a bit all over the place this video, I'm afraid. You'll see that I've put the foam board on top of the baseboard, and there I've cut it at an angle so that I can fill the clay in to inset the rails, and I just think there's less chance of it developing a crack if I've cut those sides at an angle. There I'm just checking the levels to make sure my rail heads are proud of the rest of the foam board, and there I've backfilled the clay, so the rails are nice and prominent, so the wagons run along nicely on there. As you can see, I've put the rails in for the crane and put a bit of foam board in to sit the Corvette on, because I'm going to build up the C in clay and tissue paper, but I needed a flat base for my waterline Corvette to sit on. Coat of primer on the whole lot now, and you can see there I've made up the C, so that's clay with tissue paper on the top of it, and the bit where the boat sits, or sorry, ship sits, is nice and flat. So the other thing I've been busy building are the actual dockyard buildings. Now, because this I want to keep the weight down on this layout, because I'll probably be, it's going on the exhibition circuit and I'll be exhibiting it on my own, so I've got to cart it backwards and forwards from the Mini myself. I'm just making the buildings out of embossed plasticard. So as you can see, I've just put these little fillets in the corners, just to give the building a bit of structural integrity, and basically I cut all the apertures for the windows out while it's flat before I put it together, and then once that's all done and squared up, I put the roof on, and that basically stops everything from moving, and I've put some little bits inside there just to strengthen it up. But it makes a relatively strong building in so much as it's not going to be handled very much, but incredibly light. So the next job on these will be to detail up the brick facades, so I've got to put lintels in and sills and things like that, just some extra detailing on the brick, and then they'll be ready for paint. I'll probably paint the insides black, I think, because I've got some proper windows to go in here that I'll glaze. So that's just one of a few of the buildings that I'm populating the layout with at the moment. So let's take a look at how many other buildings we got on there. So switching back to stills again, you can see that I've built I built two of those buildings, which are the ones that are in the shot, in the still that I'm trying to replicate from the film. I put the crane on there as well to see what that's going to look like. Couple of buildings on the left, one with a flat roof, and the other one I'm going to put, I put skylights on both of these. Another close-up of how the sea's looking at the moment. That'll get a coat of paint and varnish. So scale-wise, I'm quite happy with how this is looking at the moment. Right, so firstly, please excuse the shaky camera work, because this is going to be much more difficult to do on a tripod, so I'm holding this by hand. So here we've got a building with a flat roof, and I built some little skylights to go on there. So this is part of the left-hand side of the layout where the trains running backwards and forwards along this shuttle line, they will just sort of disappear behind there. So hopefully when I've got the canopy on, you won't see round the corner where my infrared sensors are for the shuttle unit. They've got just bits of masking tape over them at the moment to protect them, and also I've given the whole layout a coat of primer, just to sort of neutralise the colour and just give me an idea of what we're looking at. So these are the two buildings that are primarily visible in the still shot of the film The Cruel Sea, which I'm trying to replicate in this kind of cameo. And the other side, if I move around here, that just illustrates where the train will disappear into the sort of what is essentially a tiny fiddle yard. So I've now got a backboard on order from Grange and Hodder, which will go literally round the back like this. Round there, so all round the back. So at the back of the building, I've got to put a much larger building in there, which will go almost the full width of the bits that are in primer at the moment. So my plan for that, if I spin you round and grab this drawing, so this, sorry about the mess, but this is how I work. So that's my plan for what's going to be at the back. So the idea of the towers in the left and right hand side are to some extent hide the corners of the backboard, because I didn't really want to put a curved backboard in on this, which is the normal trick. So the towers hopefully will largely hide what that will look like. There's always a bit of artistic license with this, because none of this building is visible in the film. But if we just swing back to the layout, sorry about that quick pan, I hope that didn't make you feel too sick. Basically, I've taken various dockyards, Portsmouth, Chatham, as my inspiration for the build for this. And certainly at Portsmouth, there is a very imposing building on the dockside, which I'm kind of going to replicate as per the drawing you've just seen along the back here. And the two towers actually are, I don't think they're part of the dockyard, but certainly they feature in the skyline at Devonport Dockyard, which is where the Cruel Sea dockyard sequences were filmed. So I've kind of brought them forward and incorporated them into the layout. So what I might do now, let's just maybe put the canopy on and see what this is going to look like with the canopy in place. Right, so this is with the canopy on. I just really wanted to see what you can actually see. I suppose if you peer around enough, you could see where the track is just about visible, but I think mainly the viewing is going to be from the front. Let's just try this way round. Yeah, so by the time I've got the backboards on, you're not really going to see much in the way of the fiddle yard through that little gap where it goes underneath that tunnel. So I think the plan is, other than the large building that's going to go across the back there, I think this is primarily going to be a lorry, Royal Navy lorry park. I see this maybe a small area here where they've got the mast, so the ceremonial mast. Yeah, so I'm still sort of debating what I'm going to do with that. But yeah, it's coming on all right. And let's just, I don't know, I can move back much further because of the size of my man cave, but there we go. So that's kind of what it's going to look like as a whole. Right, the other thing I've been doing is sorting out some stock to run on this layout. So this is one of the little Cato freelance wagons that you get in the freight set. Let's just grab the box. So this set here, you get this loco plus these two bits of stock there, which I may well use these. They're sort of Japanese outline, but I'm going to doctor them up and maybe put some tarps over the top to make them sort of like a covered open wagon. But very good value for money. Now, my mates over at Budget Model Railways channel, they're huge fans of these. Straight out the box, they do look a bit plasticky, I've got to say. So what I've done with this one is I've taken the pantograph off the top. So this would be running as a diesel rather than a electric. and I've glazed the cab because the cab is unglazed straight out the box, given it a coat of paint, given it a bit of a weathering, nothing too much, but a black coat of black and some matte varnish. I also bought some Pico brass turned buffers, so I've drilled out the end of the buffer beams because it doesn't come with any buffers at all, and I've put some little brass buffers on there, which just makes it look a little bit less toy-like. Now the beauty of these is they are absolutely superb slow runners. They've got a flywheel built into them, so they crawl along absolutely beautifully. And if you're looking for a small shunter that will go over points happily, look no further, because this is it. They are absolutely brilliant. So that's the loco. I've also got some steam as well. So I've got some pannier tanks, and I've got a couple of J94s that I can run. One of the issues with that being a completely covered layout in a canopy was track cleaning. So I've got a couple of brake vans that I'm going to use, and what I've used with these is these little fellas here that you can buy from Gauge Master. So they just clip onto any set of wheels with metal axles, so they run along nicely. I've cut them down widthwise so that they will actually sit inside these sort of running boards on this brake van. Now the idea of this is I've also weighted the back of it. I've put a little bit of lead, a bit of scrap lead on there, which pushes this pad down onto the track. Now I haven't cleaned this one, and this just illustrates how much crap that picks up running backwards and forwards. That's only been backwards and forwards a few times, but you can see how that cleans the track. So what I normally do is I soak this in isopropyl alcohol, clean it up first, get rid of that sort of carbon deposit on there, then put some IPA on there, and then I can run that along with the rake. You'll see that I've also added some weight to the end of these to make them run a bit nicer, and I've painted the bottom of the coupling boxes silver so that my infrared shuttle unit will pick them up better. That's what the manufacturer's block signalling suggests you do, to make sure that the infrared picks up the fact that that something has passed over them. Now the advantage of using the infrared ones is, of course, that will pick up stock. Any of the shuttle units that revolve around cutting track and obviously change the feed going to the wheels will only actually change polarity or stop once the driving wheels go over the joint in the track, or rather the cut in the track. Whereas of course if it's infrared, it's going to pick up the stock, so it will actually pick up the last item on the rake, which is the brake van, and therefore it will stop and then reverse and go back in the other direction. So that was really my rationale on using the infrared shuttles rather than the conventional type. Anyway, that's where we're at so far. A bit of a long episode, I'm afraid, this one, and I hope you can join me next time for the next update, in which case hopefully I'll have built the great big building at the back of the layout, and maybe even got a bit of painting done, also at least some more detailing of the buildings. So thanks for watching. Please stick with this because this is an interesting one, I think. It's a bit different, this layout, and I look forward to seeing you the next time. So take care, bye for now.